Yellow. Happy
wow.
Monday and not Friday, everyone.
Yeah, what the fuck? This is
That's
craziness.
my shit crashed again, and it's totally on me. But that's okay, because here we are.
And I'll still suck your dick. It's fine.
No.
Yeah, I guess you don't
No.
deserve it.
I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it.
Ha ha ha. No dick for you. No dick.
When you're home, we're in your head. Lock the doors and close the blinds. Turn on your TV. Turn off your mind.
I did not mess up the button presses.
No, I
it
mean,
did.
they won't know. It's all be fixed and edited, but... Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Soul of a Gamer.
Yes.
We are here once again. Every week we play a game, we tell you about it, we give you our in-depth review.
Wahoo!
First off, before we get into that, let's do some house cleaning here. Please check out our website, soulofagamerpodcast.com. Email us at soulofagamer@gmail.com. Check out our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook page, everything, guys. We're on
TikTok.
everything. Yeah, TikTok,
Yes.
that piece of shit.
Hey, TikTok's awesome, dude.
No, it's not. It's definitely not awesome. I would give it
It's
maybe...
something I do 1 to 2 hours a day, probably.
Yep. Instead of jerking off, you do that. What use are you?
I mean, I feel like that's good, you know. I'm
No.
not just always jerking off. That's a
not true.
good progressive thing to do, you know. Just
No.
not being so selfish, you know, worrying about others in the world.
By watching their content, making them
Yes.
millions?
Yeah.
Fuck no.
Helping all everybody out. What's wrong with that?
All right, well, we hope you enjoyed our last week's game, which was...
DNF. Duke Nukem. Fuck no.
Yeah. Duke Nukem, fuck no. I like that. That's good. Hell yeah. Yeah, don't play that game. Well, I mean, play the game. It's still fun, but it's just weird. It's not very
No,
good.
it's not really. It's one of the
You
worst
can
games
get
I've
some
ever played.
You can get some enjoyment out of some of the lines or some of
That's-
the gameplay. Was
there
interesting.
is some comedy in it, yes.
Yeah.
But there's way better comedy things.
We decided to do a much better game this week, so we are
Yes.
jumping into Alan Wake.
Yes, with Alan Wake 2 winning a lot of awards and being up for Game of the Year, wanted to recognize the franchise starting point.
Yeah. All right, well, let's jump right into this.
Wahoo!
What's on the box?
All right, so because this was an Xbox 360 exclusive, it's on the 360 case, of course. I really do love the box art for this. The just Alan Wake's name with the forest superimposed inside of it, with the light shining out, and Alan himself being the inside of the A. I think it's a really cool logo. I think it really sets a good atmosphere of this game is black and white. It's all about darkness and light, and sets it up nicely.
It's about one of the most overdone concepts in all of literary science.
Hey man, as a guy who's still scared of the dark to this day, I appreciate it.
The dark versus the light. The flashlight versus the darkness. But wait, one's electric light and one is mysteriously dark. How can they fight?
Exactly.
Science meets fantasy.
So the back of the box, in darkness, fight with light. When the wife of the best-selling writer Alan Wake disappears on their vacation, his search turns up the pages from a thriller he doesn't even remember writing. A dark presence stalks the small town of Bright Falls, pushing Wake to the brink of sanity in his fight to unravel the mystery and save the woman he loves. Part action game, part psychological thriller, Alan Wake is a pulse-pounding thrill ride.
I will say, I don't think I'd call this a psychological thriller, but you know what?
It definitely is a psychological thriller.
I would
It's all
not.
about mind games and what's real and what's not.
Kind of. But they made it pretty clear, in the beginning I would give it that, but they made it pretty clear along the way that it was all real. And it was kind of
I know,
annoying,
but they
actually.
did try to have some red herring things in there.
Yeah,
with
in the beginning. In the beginning, I felt that way a lot.
The second I guess late second, beginning of third episode with the psychiatric dude too.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
kind
the
of goes
beginning.
into it a lot more. I mean, that's
No,
that's
no,
halfway
not-
through.
That's late third, beginning
Yeah.
fourth.
Yeah, so it's halfway through. So it's
Yeah,
still dealing with
kind of.
is this real, is this not, and like
You knew
there's
it
still a
wasn't,
lot of
or you
I
knew
know.
it was real just because they gave away too much. I think they should have kept doing red herring throughout the game, but that's fine.
that's fair.
Yeah, I'll give it like a very low psychological thriller, like super low on that radar, but not like. There's no point, like remember what was that game we played, Super Hot?
Oh yeah,
That game's a psychological thriller because half the time you don't know what the fuck is going on.
I mean,
You're like,
true,
am
that
I
game-
the program? Am I a real person? Am I a fucking guy who's like dweebing out on this shit? What am I right now? Am I red? Am I blue?
I mean,
Who am I?
just because this doesn't hit the highlights that and like Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice doesn't mean it's not one. It just didn't do it as well.
Yeah, it did not do it as well. Nowhere near it. Again, like a very mild tier 1, but I like the box. Box is
yeah,
cool.
it's very reminiscent of, and this highly is influenced by Stephen King. So
Yeah.
if you like any Stephen King artwork or kind of aesthetic or world building of Stephen King-esque worlds, this is exactly what this is.
I wonder if they did the same thing Mortal Kombat did, and they like asked Stephen King, like, "Can you be in our book, movie, game thing?" And then he said no, and they're like, "Fine, we'll put you in there anyway, but just rename your character, idiot."
Pretty much.
Sure, that's what they did.
All
All right, well,
yeah.
this box was okay. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
fine.
fine. It's not bad. It is
pick it
an
up at a-
intriguing box, but
you'd pick it up at a game store 10 years ago and have fun with it.
I mean that's what I did.
Yeah. All right, move on.
Are we jamming?
All right, and are we jamming?
Music in this game actually really good. I kind of like the
Yes.
music a lot. A lot of original songs that we discovered. A lot of
The old
Really
gods
good-
of Asgard. Old gods
Asgard,
of
yeah,
Asgard.
because it was Thor and Odin, I think, were the two
Yep.
characters. They basically wrote all of these for all this music for this, and I should say, I guess right now, the composer for this is Petri Alonco. So I mean, he did a really good job composing all
Oh,
these
yeah.
songs. I don't know if he wrote all the rock stuff too, but it was really cool. Voice cast in here, there's a lot of them, and I didn't name them all. So if you're mad that I didn't get your favorite one, go fuck yourself. Matthew Peretta as Alan
Jeez.
Wake. We got to put him in there.
Yeah,
Lloyd
yeah,
Floyd,
definitely.
Lloyd Floyd as multiple
Floyd.
parts. Jeffrey Cantor, multiple parts. James McCaffrey as Thomas Zane, and McCaffrey played 3 parts in there, but they're all Thomas Zane, and for some reason he got 3 writing credits on that. Brett Madden as Alice Wake, Fred Berman as Barry Wheeler, Benita Robledo as Rose Marigold, Cliff Carpenter as Odin, Kate Wyman as Barbara Jagger. So we got a good amount of people in there. They
Which-
mostly did a good job. Just Alice was kind of falling flat for most of the game.
I think the voice acting in this is actually just amazing. It's superb. I do agree that Alice falls way flat,
I
way
wouldn't-
too much.
I'm going to give an honest opinion. I would not give it a superb. This was okay. You could get through it. Sometimes the cutting for this was really bad. Sometimes the lines were just poorly written. Like, superb is maybe like top tier. You give that to the best game. Maybe like mid tier, you'd give this. Not exactly the greatest. I bet number 2 did it exactly how it should be done. But this
Probably.
one just didn't understand what it needed to do at that time.
I guess for me, like Alan and Barry are two, and like the cop are 3 like really big highlights for me that I just absolutely love.
Yeah. My biggest problem with Alan, I think, going through that entire game is you almost expect a sense of real emotion coming out of him. Because
Yeah,
at this point in the game, he's detoxing, basically, right? He hasn't had alcohol or drugs since they got to the island for an entire week.
well, and it's weird because like there's times where it seems like he does have those problems and addictions, and other times where it seems like those are like made up.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know what's actually real with that sometimes. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not entirely sure.
But we already confirmed that most of the game is real, so I'm guessing
Yeah.
they're real, and for some reason he doesn't detox, and then also for some reason he's not scared ever. Like, you kind of want the main character in a pseudo-horror game to be scared at certain parts of the game, and at no point is he, like, actually frightened.
But I
And you
mean,
might
how
call
can
that,
you
like-
be? how can you be scared of something you know what's happening? Like, you wrote the story, so you
But
wrote
he doesn't
it
know
in
that
a
all
way...
the way through. He doesn't
No.
know that. He doesn't know that until the second episode. So he's not like
True.
scared at all in the first either. Like I would have liked to see a little bit more emotion out of that voice actor for how like scared he was. But half the time it was just very the same. Like
True.
it's all as if he's the author of the story.
True.
Which makes sense. He is, to be fair. But
Yeah.
in the beginning, it would make more sense to have his internal dialogue be that and his external dialogue be something very fucking different.
I don't know. I really did just like a lot of the way it's written and the way how it's like the story progresses with reading the pages and then them actually coming to fruition.
Yeah.
And then I do love the relationship between him and Barry, especially like the time where they get drunk on the moonshine.
Yeah.
Like there's some
Barry's
funny
voice
parts of
acting
that.
by far was the best in the entire game.
I
He just
love
killed it.
Barry. Yeah.
And let me tell you
he's
guys right now, Alice, literal garbage. Like,
so bad.
like sometimes, which there was another game we played where I'm like, did they take someone off the fucking street and give them a page and say, read this into this microphone?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there, but man, she's even like her worried. At one point, she's on the phone with a doctor. She's worried, and she's just sitting there like, "Oh my god, my husband is super drunk or something and likes drugs. Please help him." Like it's
Well-
just so bad.
And we never really knew how Alice actually felt about Alan because of
Yeah.
all the different like kind of perspectives of Alan that we saw. So like sometimes she was absolutely in love with him and never thought he did anything wrong and he was like a saint. And other times she absolutely loathed him and thought he was the lowest piece of shit on the planet. And it's like
And
I
yet-
don't know how she feels and it's so weird because I don't
Yeah,
know.
but those two different things you just said had the same reaction voice wise.
They did. And I'm
Like-
not denying that, but
That's
it
the
is
big
just
thing, is
crazy.
Even in his head, he's going to like add anger or add flourish in there. If
Mhm.
she's angry, he's going to add love. If she's loving, like I don't know. I felt like they could have done better with the voice acting direction for her specifically. A
True.
lot better, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know
True.
who their voice director was, but man, he sucked. Sucked at getting the characters to do like a little bit more than just be stale characters on a screen. The only one who did a really good job at what he was doing was Barry. He sounded scared when he was supposed to be scared. He sounded brave when he was supposed to be brave. He
yeah.
really, like, that voice actor killed it.
And he had some of the best lines. I mean, like the whole thing of the headlamp being like the Eye of Sauron, and everything. Sauron.
Sauron.
I almost said Saruman, and then I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa! Don't
The
fuck
Eye
that
of
up.
Saruman. I did another thing with the voice lines. They do this thing in between the episodes where they
Oh yes.
kind of like end the episode and then
recap.
yeah, they recap when you get into the next episode, which I like. So if you take the break, if you like put your controller down and maybe you take a week off, you get a little
Mhm.
cool recap of what you did and you can remember why you're doing what you're doing at that moment, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, I did like the kind of episodic tonation of this.
Yeah.
I think some of the episodes were way too long, but we'll get into that into the story. But
And then the Alan
yeah.
Wake voice worked really well in the like recap
Oh,
stuff. Like that's
seriously.
what a recap voice should sound like. But then they try
and
to do
I
that for the
never,
entire
I
game.
never skipped any of those. It was that intriguing
Oh, I skipped
to me.
them all
like-
the time. I didn't give a shit about them.
I think most of the time, I think I only skipped it like once or twice because I was trying to get through it at one point. But like,
It'd be
there's a
so
lot of
much
times I just
funnier.
watched it.
It'd be so much funnier if, like, during it they say, "You fat piece of shit! I bet you're skipping this right now." So I'm not gonna even fucking say anything that happened in the story. Like,
That would be fun. Very
that
meta.
would be fun. Oh
Yeah.
god, so meta, but that would be the best. It's just
High
like,
on Life should have done that.
what's that? What is it? There's a TV
What?
show where it's either the opening credits or the closing credits where they have a little credit song. They're like, "Nobody ever watches the credits."
Oh.
It's really funny. I can't remember what TV show it is, but it's really fun.
I don't know, but I always loved in Community. They had certain episodes where they were like I would hate to get interrupted, and like they would get interrupted by
Yeah.
the theme song and stuff like that.
Yeah, very very meta. Very
meta.
meta. All right, well, that's mostly for voice acting.
Yeah.
All right, we got anything else?
No, I think we're ready to move on.
All right, let's go.
How does it play?
All right, controls and shit for the game.
Gameplay.
Yep,
Gameplay.
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 How does it play?
So first off, this game is it's like a third person action adventure, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah, I would call it also like kind of like a stick shooter.
Yeah.
It does feel very stick shooter-ish.
Yeah, so you can walk around, you can run, you can sprint. You have a sprint button. Sprint's really bad, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Oh, God.
You can shoot, you can aim a flashlight, you can look at things, you can grab things that are needed to be grabbed. There's some like worldly mechanics. This is kind of what I was complaining about with Duke Nukem. They do some stupid fucking like kick. You're like, why would I kick this? Like, it just seems like I could just push it lightly and it would open. Kick!
Kick it!
Yeah, it's like stuff like that. I thought it was really funny at one point. You have to do this whole rigmarole to... Hold on, let me see if I wrote it down because it was really funny.
Oh, okay.
So, there's a fence, right? It's a 3-foot
Yeah.
fence, and it's got the slats in it, so you can even just climb over it or just walk, like,
Yeah.
go underneath it or whatever you want.
Yeah.
And instead of doing that, you have to go all the way around, jump up on a rooftop, jump inside of like a hole that leads into this building, have an attack from the entity thing that you're fighting, and then leave that thing, and then you're on the other side of where that fence would be. And I'm like, why didn't I just climb over the 3-foot fence?
Like
stuff
hard,
like
dude.
Yeah, it's like stuff like that. Like I would have put more challenging walls to visualize why you're doing the things you're doing, because otherwise it really made no sense why you're doing what you're doing.
You have a script to follow, man. You can't just do whatever you want to do. You have to follow the rules.
Yeah, but I just mean like if there's a 3-foot wall, make it a 6-foot wall. Make it harder to climb or something.
mean,
don't make it
yeah.
don't make it like a climbable surface, because then you're always going to be asking like, why don't I just jump over this instead of doing all this extra shit?
Because it wasn't written.
Yeah, why don't I just like slide down this 4-foot glide really fast? That's like not very sheer cliffed and be fine. Why do I have to go all the way around it?
No, that's
Like-
too easy.
Just stuff like that. Maybe just
It's true.
What would you call that? It's not really the thing where you like ease players' perception of the game, but you can do that just to ease people's like mentality while they're playing. You make things
True.
more look like an obstacle, and that's why you're going around them, and that way you
Yes.
feel like you're doing this for a reason rather than feel like I could have done it a different way.
Well, I mean, it always sucks to go down that pathway that you think can go to bigger pathways, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just an invisible wall here. Like,
Yeah.
hitting an actual wall feels less bad as hitting an invisible wall. I
Yeah.
definitely get that what you're saying there.
Yeah, so just change your 3-foot fences to like 8-foot fences, and we're good.
There you go. Playing wise and stuff though, the combat in this game highly involves that all the enemies in this game are covered in a veil of darkness, and you have to shine a light on them in whichever means that you have accountable to you, and break that veil of darkness before you can actually damage them with guns.
Yeah. It's kind of annoying, actually, to have to shine a light on everything. I would have put some grunts in there that maybe you didn't have to shine a light on. Like, they tried their best to make them different levels of shining your
Yeah.
light, so you shined it for different time frames, but I don't know. It was just kind of
I really like the premise of this. I think it's a really interesting premise. I do think,
You think
we'll
shining
get
a
in-
light to defeat the darkness is an interesting premise, Steven?
I do. I think it's a fun, like, kind of thing where you have to break the veil of darkness. I don't know. It's an intriguing, like, armor perspective that
Yeah.
only light can break it.
You
Like-
know what would be better if they did in this game? If they
What's that?
took, like, because you break that veil of darkness, so you almost think, like, what's controlling these people is the fact that there's a veil of darkness around them. Because they're real people.
True.
Like, so then you break the veil and maybe you shoot them once and they realize that they're, like, getting shot. And they're like, oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh
Like,
God.
that realism, that would have made it fucking horrifying. This game would have
That-
got real shitty real fast.
Yeah, that
But I would've
definitely
liked
Last
that.
of Us level of despair.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like...
Dude,
Because
that's-
this
that's fun.
game is a horror game, but it's like a very mild horror game. There's
Yeah.
very little actual scary aspects to this game, with like some really nice flare moments, but mostly it's just you're walking through and you feel fine. You're never worried about anything.
I mean, like, thrillers are always considered like the lesser of horrors. It's like kind of that
Yeah.
ease way point between real life
Yeah,
story and horror.
but if they throw in that aspect of people like begging for
True.
their lives after you shoot them, or even the
True.
darkness using them to beg for their lives, like a trick.
True.
Like that would have
True.
been fucking. That would have like scared me until a little bit where I'm like, oh shit, do I kill this guy? I don't
Yeah.
know what to do now. Like, throw that in every, like, 10th enemy or something.
Well, and I will say, like, the combat with it does get a little stale after a little bit, but I will say, like, once you get, especially into the DLCs for this, the combat really opens up with the ways that they do, like, the environmental attacks and stuff to make it a lot more intriguing to how you can break the Veils of Darkness, and makes it a lot more fun, I think, and you become a lot more powerful, and you just go on this, like, power rampage through the darkness.
Yeah.
That's really fucking cool. Like, that, honestly, the DLC felt like the best. The DLC felt better than the game.
It did. I think the DLC really, they
Gameplay-wise.
they hit a cool spot on there that they didn't really get to do until the end of the original storyline.
Yes.
All right, so some stuff here. Stamina in this game is complete shit. It's garbage.
Oh god, dog shit.
It sucks.
Garbage.
It is the worst stamina bar I think I've ever had in my life. It doesn't make any sense, and there is no bar.
I would rather have better stamina in the Alan Wake game than Harambe's death being not happening.
How fucking dare you?
I know, dude. Like, that's how shitty this
So the stamina, it's just short. It's not well lived, and half the time it feels like it's like normal, and half the time it feels like it's shorter than normal. And I can't tell if it's just you have a stamina bar that needs to recharge, but it's not seeable.
Yeah, it doesn't showcase it in any way, and it feels like if you, besides using it for the dodge, like if you use it anything more than the dodge, it sucks. Like, you don't even get like a few seconds of sprinting, it feels like sometimes.
Yeah.
And it is garbage. Every enemy can catch you if you're doing it, so don't even use it on sprinting. Use it just on the dash or the escape or dodge, I mean. Like, don't ever use it to sprint. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Guns in this game are also a little off balance. You'd think a shotgun would be good, but they're bad. Pistols
Hunting
are actually...
rifle.
Hunting rifle is really good, which is like weird because it's not like a good hunting rifle. It's like a 357 or something. It's just really interesting when they're like changing the scope of how these weapons would normally work in real life, and then your blank range with a fucking shotgun, and you can't do a one hit on anything.
Yeah, the shotgun didn't feel great, especially the pump shotgun. That was really awful.
It is the same complaint we had on High on Life because no one ever used
True.
the shotgun in that game because it's just garbage. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like there's any point to use it when you don't kill things up close in one or two hits.
Not every game has the Halo shotgun.
No, and they should, honestly. The shotgun
They
just
really
feels
should.
like it should be a heavy like duty. You have to be close up and personal to do any damage with it.
I feel like shotguns should always either half health you or completely kill
full
you one
delete.
shot if you're within 5 feet.
Yeah, I think so too. So the pistol was really good though. I really enjoyed the pistol.
Yes.
This game did have a cool mechanic where basically you used all the items you could pick up. You had flashbangs and flares and
Dude, the flare gun was
Flare
OP
gun.
shit.
yeah. Like, and it's weird that the flare gun was basically your one-shot kill for like a grenade launcher, I guess you could say.
It pretty much was a grenade launcher. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good way to put it.
Because
Because, I mean, that basically is what it turns into being.
yeah.
And honestly, like, that was really cool mechanic too, because it did like the Sniper Elite like slow mo kill cam when you shot it at certain things.
Yeah.
And it would like ragdoll affect the enemies. It was really cool. I enjoyed
The flare gun was a cool concept, but I really did like the fact that you just used everything. Like, there's nothing besides a shotgun. There's nothing really you don't use, and you even are forced to use a shotgun sometimes because you're out of ammo.
Oh yeah.
So, they didn't really make ammo scarce in this game. It was kind of abundant. You don't really run
Yeah.
out at any given point, and when you're about to run out, you usually find more.
Well, the most annoying thing, and I think we both have this complaint, is that every fucking mission, or sometimes throughout the mission, you'll just lose all your inventory and have to
Yeah.
regain it again. But then, like, sometimes they'll, like, take every gun away from you, but then give you 2 guns and an infinite amount of ammo right when you start again. So it's like, why did you even take that from me?
Yeah. Like,
Why,
why
would
would...
we get up again less than
The
30
best
seconds?
was between episode, I think it's episode 4 and 5, you get arrested, and you go to a police station, and they take all your items away. And
Yeah.
they're like, look, your stuff is in this locker. Let's go get it. And you get your
Yeah.
stuff back, and it's nothing of what you had before.
Yeah, seriously.
It's
It's,
like
like,
the-
2 items.
Like, there's no way it couldn't... Knights of the Old Republic 2 had a whole thing where they take all your stuff away, too, but they give it all back to you exactly the way it was.
Yep.
So it's not like it's impossible to do that in a game. Like, it's done in older
Yeah.
games, so I don't know why the hell they didn't do it here.
Yeah, no, that was definitely annoying, and most frustrating thing, which, yeah, I felt like it was an easy thing. There's times where it makes sense. Like, the first time he gets arrested, having all of his guns taken off of him, that makes sense. Like, after he wakes up from a car accident, that makes sense, because it's been a week past, you didn't even know that at first, but that makes sense why you don't have anything. But there's a lot of times where it's like, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, that's just the story plots to make you feel. I think it's just to add to that thriller aspect or maybe that
Yeah.
horror aspect, but it never really felt that way. I think they drew a little short on that, and maybe they introduced new things too soon after getting all your stuff away,
Yeah.
you know? But who knows?
Increase your stamina meter, make us actually have to run away from stuff
Yeah.
without a weapon for a while. Like, that
Yeah.
can make it more terrifying.
Honestly, more running scenes would have been great in this game.
Oh, yeah.
This game features 2 collectible stuff, notes and coffee thermoses.
Thermoses, yep.
And the notes, not notes, sorry.
Transcript pages.
Yeah, they're basically pages that you wrote during this time that we'll talk about in the story, but you have to find the pages. And the pages are
Yes.
like important to the story because it gives you extra insight on what you're doing. But they didn't make it so they're easily found. And I felt like that was a
Yeah.
mistake by them. My idea was just have a little audible sound that emanates from the page when you get close to it. That way you know you're close to a page and you'll just stop and
Oh,
you'll
yeah.
look around a little bit. Because if you're going
Like,
to make
every
them...
time...
If you
Oh, go ahead.
if you're gonna make them like a story necessity, like to get
Yes.
more story out of it, where it's not necessarily like extra shit, like in the old Destiny game, the first one,
Yes.
where you found like stuff that you don't encounter during the story that you just like to know.
True.
If they're gonna make it purely based on the story of what you're actually doing at that moment, make it
Yeah.
easily found. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, make it like a sound of a page turning, like
Yeah.
when you get within like 10 feet of it or something. Like,
Or
anything.
like anything. I don't give a shit what it is. It could be like a ding from a little bell that's really fucking annoying that won't stop till you find the fucking page. Like that's fine. Yeah. Or make it the 3-second thing from that Dr. Dre song. Ding ding dong, ding a ding 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 dong. Just keep doing that over and over. That'll make me sick and make me want to go find it. See, it's already getting old. The more you do it, it does get old. Like if it's thrown in there a little bit, it's fine. But once you start doing it too much, you're like, "Fuck this sound! Where's the page?"
I don't want to hear this anymore.
Yeah, it would be fun. It would be.
Why
better
is
to
there
do it
18
that way.
pages on this level? I'm tired of this ding ding. It gets in my
Yeah.
head.
And then my other idea, the coffee thermoses are just a complete waste of fucking time in this game. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
There's no. You don't even know why you're collecting coffee thermoses. You assume it's just to keep you
True.
awake.
I don't know, honestly. Like, it's never explained why you're collecting them. It doesn't seem like it's for any purpose.
Yeah. But my idea with that was to every thermos you collect adds a little bit more stamina. Then the low stamina bar
Oh.
makes sense at the beginning, right?
That would be awesome.
That would have been a smart thing for them to do. They already put the item in there and everything, but they just didn't
I mean, yeah.
implement
I mean,
it. Maybe they originally thought about it and just couldn't make it work somehow.
Maybe. I mean, Shadow of the Colossus did that with finding the geckos.
Yeah, the geckos and the apples, like they increase your stamina
For
or
health,
increase
yeah.
your health. I mean, just made sense to increase your stamina in this game a little bit, little by little. But, you know, it's neither here nor there, I guess. You just collect them all for an
True.
achievement or something. Driving in this game is atrocious. Just
Oh,
fucking
God,
remove it.
that is
Just get rid of it,
awful.
guys. It sucked. It was the worst part of the game. That and Alice are like the 2 worst things in this game, so
Yes.
just get fucking rid of it.
Well, and
It-
seriously, the driving, like, there's so many times where, like, they have a bunch of things that you're passing, and you're like, should I stop the car and go look around? And you
Yeah.
don't know whether you should or not, but if you don't, then you miss pages, you miss thermoses, you miss all these
Yeah.
extra ammo caches and stuff. And it's so, but you never know, because, like, sometimes you'll stop and you won't be able to access the building.
Yeah.
The next time you stop, you can access the building. There's no telltale sign of where to go or how to do things.
Here's the thing about this game that I think they were trying to do with another game, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption 2 has this giant fucking map that you can basically explore every inch of it and find stuff in every inch of the map. And now
Yeah.
that sounds daunting, but for a lot of people that's fun. They like just like finding secrets that still haven't been found. In this game, it's like 95% of the map is completely fucking worthless. And then 5% hold shit, and
Yeah.
you still have to explore all 100% to find the 5% you're missing.
I will say I would not want this game to be an open world game. I think
No,
the combat
no.
would, as stale as it is already, this would be bonkers stale in an
Yeah.
open world game.
I think so too. I think the level system worked out well for what they were doing.
Yes.
This game was really cool. It had a nav point that was really helpful. It helped you not like go too far forward, so you don't miss things, which was nice when you're not driving. But when you're driving, it's just completely worthless because you can't find anything.
Yeah.
Shooting is good in this game. It could be improved a little bit with a shotgun, but in general, it's okay. Birds. So birds are the stupid part of this. They're just an enemy type in this game that can be maybe lessened about, I don't know, 80%.
There's an achievement in this game to kill 1,000 birds, and it's easy to hit. Like, that's how many birds are in this game.
There's 6 levels in this game. You can do it by the 3rd.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's just dumb. They're just dumb things. They barely do anything for the first, 5 levels you fight them. And then the 6th level, they do a lot. But
and it's all the time throughout the entire 6th level, and it's ridiculous. It's too much. It's ridiculous. And they're books instead of birds at that point, which is just interesting.
Yeah. No, that's the end, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, that is the end.
That's the DLC. The 6th level, they do have the birds just kind of coming down at you and attacking you before you go into the cabin place, which does do some good amount of damage. But, I mean, the birds were just kind of anticlimactic after the first time, because the first time they were terrifying. And then after that, it's just they got so fucking trolling that it just wasn't fun anymore.
Well, and the first time when you're introduced to it, when you first get the flare gun and you just shoot down the barrel of all the birds and blow them all up, it's really cool, and that's what you expect every time. But then when you have 3 different sets of birds flying down at you at once while dodging,
you're not wasting your flare on those.
Yeah, it's like, God, this is stupid. I have to use this for the big guys because those big axe or chainsaw guys are fucking awful.
Yeah, so that's just something I would just lessen that. That was still cool.
Yeah.
I still like the birds in the game. They just need to lessen them. Inanimate objects is another thing in this game that I really didn't like that much. Like, sometimes it was great. Like, sometimes it was terrifying, but most of the time it's just like, okay, another fucking area where I have to fight 4 fucking cars and a washing machine or a refrigerator for some reason.
Well, and if you don't like that, then you might not like their other game, Control, because that all the boss fights are fighting an inanimate object, and there's a fridge boss fight in that I have yet to fucking beat because it's a fucking bullshit boss fight.
So if they do it right, it's fine. In this game, I think they just did it too much. Like, lessen
it's just
it.
awful.
Just lessen it a little bit. It's not
in this
the point
game.
of
It
the
doesn't
game.
make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. See, this is where I was like, if they put more emphasis that you're killing real people rather than killing like random shadows, like, this game would have been fucking awful. It would have been terrifying to play.
And, like, the other thing is, too, like, if you're going to add, like, the trope of, like, the darkness throwing shit at you, it would have been more scary and way more, like, fun if they just threw the object, but you didn't have to break the veil of darkness. Like, it just, once it's thrown, it's thrown.
Yeah.
And you have to dodge objects and stuff still, and things are coming at you, but you don't have to, like, break the darkness for it, and they don't throw the same object multiple times after and after and after and after each other. Because when you have 5 items coming at you at once, and they're like a bus, a giant spindle, a car, and like 3 fucking light posts, you're like, this is ridiculous. These are huge fucking objects that take so much flashlight to break or flare guns to break that it's...
And they're just dumb. For the most part,
much.
they just stay in the air for like 30 full seconds, and then they throw it. I'm like, why are you giving me such a chance to fucking destroy it? I'm just so confused.
Because of how much fucking damage they can do.
Yeah. I would have just lessened those, honestly. It was still fun to have some of them there, like in certain parts. Yeah. Maybe even just throwing dead bodies at you would have been cool, but they didn't do that. They threw fucking spools of fucking wire at you. So, just lame.
True.
All right, well, that's all I got for gameplay on my side.
Same.
All right, well, let's go.
It's time for reviews.
Alright, so like always, we are finding out whether you are a little bitch boy like myself, or if you are valid with your reviews for the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, alright, first review, 1 star. Absolutely terrible game. With others, I will play until I get to know the end of the story, but with this one, it's nothing more than running around in the dark forest. Worst game I've ever played, a waste of 4 hours of my life. You run out of bullets and stamina way too quick. Not worth the effort, and I will definitely not be purchasing Alan Wake 2 after this.
So they just purchased Alan Wake 1?
Yep.
All right. Well. Wasn't it on Game Pass?
I don't think so.
I think it was. I don't know.
Or maybe it was. I don't know.
Maybe he has a PlayStation like a fucking loser.
Maybe. Maybe about it on PC.
Maybe. Could be. I'll give that one a little bitch boy. I think he's being like... Yes, the
Like-
stamina's annoying, but it's not so annoying you can't get through the game.
True. It's not The Last of Us. Couldn't wait to finish it, and now I hate flashlights. Silly game.
Okay, yeah, he's right. He's not wrong. It's not The Last of Us. Oh, he hates flashlights, but okay.
It's also not Duke Nukem. It's
I'm
also
gonna be
not
very
Halo.
honest. I use my phone flashlight every once in a while, but I can't tell you certain instances that I use it, so it's not like incredibly useful. So it's not like at any given point am I going to hate flashlights so much I'm never going to use them, because I rarely use them now as it is.
We use them when we walk the dog to be able to see like the poop at night and stuff to make sure we pick it up. Jen uses her flashlight all the time.
Okay, well that's stupid, but whatever.
Hey. All right, what else we got here? The story is intriguing, very nicely twisted with good touch-ups. Some of them you can easily miss, but as the game, it is awful. Bad controls, bad fight mechanics, same enemy hordes, long pointless walks and escape runs, and it all repeats over and over and over and over. No horror, only boredom, and an annoyance just after 2 or 3 hours. Waste of time and money. Go watch the story on YouTube instead.
You know what? I'm going to agree with this one. Because this guy is supposed to be a famous author that writes gripping tales, and this guy is totally right. He just wrote the same fucking trope over and over and over and over and over and over again, and that's the entire story. That's really funny.
That's what all popular fucking writers and shit do.
Yeah, kind of. But they put a little bit of ambiance
Well, like
in
popular
there that
artists
changes.
that have like 18, 20 books, they're 7 other books are the exact same fucking thing.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, this is a game, and he could have wrote that way, so it's easier for him to deal with it. So he sees it once, and he knows how to fight him. But then he does add stuff in there as he gets along, but not that
Yeah.
much stuff. He's just a bad writer. It sounds like
True.
he's Stephen King, not on drugs. That's what's happening right now.
The game starts quoting Stephen King, and somehow it kept getting worse. Combat is completely wacky. It is so bad that it made me think of Skyrim's combat might actually be fun. The main character is the most insufferable, selfish, self-entitled, egocentric, middle-aged, male Karen man-child that I've ever had the displeasure of playing as. I played this game for about 1 hour, and I swear he used the word dark about 10 times or over. Feels like this game was wrote by an edgy teenager who was also a Tumblr user. The main character was this urge to boast and portray himself as a hero. He just can't help himself, and you can't have 5 minutes of gameplay before he's blowing his own dick again. It is a mid-at-best game refunded.
I love it. That's great. That's actually really fun. There's some things in there you don't agree with. The things you think are funny, just make it up so well.
God, his rant in the middle of that the insufferable, selfish, self-entitled.
It says dark about 10
egocentric
fucking
middle-aged
times in the
male
first 5 minutes. The darkness enveloped me as the darkness touched me inappropriately in my
She was
dark-
scared of the dark,
hole.
and the darkness came out of nowhere, and it was dark in the darkness, and oh my god, the darkness, dark,
Yeah.
and darkened.
What if they just replaced the entire game's dialogue with them saying dark over and over again? That would actually be pretty funny.
No, we
Dark,
need to
dark,
change
dark, darkness, dark.
every dark to Owen Wilson's. Wow.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yes. That would be good. That would be fun.
Alright, ultimately, this game's strengths are its story and characters. It starts off strong and has its neat moments throughout, but just becomes less less and less fun. The foundational gameplay is there and has some cool ideas, but the game just fails to innovate. And at some point, even eventually, just the design, mostly the level design, is just straight up lazy and silly.
Yeah, okay. I'll give them that. These are all like there's a little bit of truth in every single one, and that's nice.
Yeah.
Because they're hitting some things that everyone hates about the game. I feel like,
True.
which is good. They're doing a good job.
True. Story and setting are derivative. Cutscenes are undermined by dated graphics. The gameplay is incredibly stupid. There's always someone behind you, and they hit you, and then you're stun locked, and then you're murdered, and then you reload at a checkpoint. And I suppose the game wants you to dodge, but I can't be asked. The entire aesthetic is intentionally constrained and dark, meaning if you aren't doing what the developer wanted you to do, then you die. Pacing of narration and information is slow, yet ironically the game finds ways to be shallow as you run past people talking to you. This game appeals to people who have You Got Mail, Twin Peaks Frasier, Twilight on VHS and want it all to be a horror video game. Overall, a waste of time unless you're an aspiring novelist dude who wants to wander off in Washington State and get chased by loggers and park rangers.
I'm confused. So this game's audience is only for aspiring audiences aspiring authors who want to go to Washington State and wander around
And get
kill
chased by
people?
loggers. And if you've got mail on VHS, that
Yeah.
makes it so you would like this game.
You've Got Mail, Twilight, and what was the? You've Got Mail is a great movie. Yeah, fuck you. I love
Twin
that
Peaks,
movie.
Frasier, and Twilight. That was the other
Yeah,
ones.
Frasier's a weird one to throw in there.
It's all weird ones. None of those.
Twin Peaks makes sense. That's like a
Yeah, Twin Peaks makes sense because it's kind of inspired off of this.
yeah. But like Frasier and You've Got Mail.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
know.
gonna throw a little bitch boy on this one.
I'm also gonna agree with that.
A
That's
little
just
bitch
weird.
boy. Also, they're like, I can't be bothered to dodge.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what he said. He literally is like, they expect you to dodge, but like I care.
I get that a little bit because there's like, I hate parrying in games. So any games that force
Yeah.
you to parry, I fucking hate that shit.
But you
But-
learn, like, if you want to do successful in the game, you either do that or you just don't play the game.
That's true.
So you
That's
can either
true.
learn to fucking dodge. I rarely use the dodge thing at all.
I
did
dodge
it
the
once
entire
for
game.
the achievement that you get for dodging 5 hits in a row or
Yeah.
whatever, and then I just stopped caring about dodging. I just ran.
Fair.
I mean, you don't have to, but this guy's bitching that
True.
he can't get through it without doing it.
True.
Little bitch.
All right. This game made me buy a book. Take that, Mom.
Okay, that's good. He did it. He didn't buy a book though, so he's a liar. So he's a little bitch.
Oh.
He's a liar, so he's a little bitch.
I mean, I didn't get inspired to buy a book after this.
No, because the book is like a bad book.
Yeah,
If you would have put this book on the shelves, it would not have sold.
probably not. Creepy man roams the woods with a flashlight in search of a woman. 10 out of 10 reminds me of my glory days.
That one's good. That one's good.
I fought a train with a flashlight.
Okay. Okay, he's factual. He did that.
Never buy Energizer batteries.
I agree. Energizers were shit. They were lasting like 30 seconds per. You high beam that shit, and for some reason your batteries start running out faster? It doesn't make any sense.
Boy, I sure hope I don't have to shoot the same Ghostman for 20 hours. Wait, what's that? Oh.
Too much. Too much. He's right. He's right.
He's right. In the light, Alan sleep. In the dark, Alan wake.
Ah. I see what he did there. What was that, a 1 star?
It was a positive review. It didn't say
yeah.
1 star or not.
3 to 5 probably?
Yeah, probably. Let's see. I'll do one last good one. Well, first of all, this is my first time playing Alan Wake, since I'm looking forward to play Alan Wake 2. I heard this game was a masterpiece, and it's true. The story was godlike. The game is perfect for thriller lovers, but not everything is perfect. This game has shown its years with its bad technical ways. This game isn't for everyone. For me, it can be a great game, but for another folk, it might be just mediocre. The pros of this game, it's got gripping story, atmospheric elements, and very solid voice acting. The cons, it is slow-paced, has repetitive combat, graphic issues like pop-ins due to its age or due to its poorly made PC port. Overall, 7 out of 10.
I like how he starts us out with this game is godlike and ends it with overall 7 out of 10.
Seriously, though.
Like, those are two
The story
very
is
different
absolute godlike. I would give this everything. It's
Yeah.
okay. You might find it mediocre.
things. Yeah, that's really, what a weird review. Alright, well, that's probably, I'm going to give that a little bitch boy because that was a weird
Little
one.
bitch boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't be both ways.
Nope. Alright, let's move on.
It's story time. Let's get started.
All right. I'm going to stop jerking people off, and you're going to read us the story.
Alright, here we go. The Alan Wake story. The story starts with the main character, Alan Wake, and his wife, Alice Wake, on a transport boat heading to Bright Falls, Washington for a vacation. Alan is a successful author, but currently has writer's block. What? Oh, this vacation. I wrote discation.
Oh.
Discation.
Discation.
This vacation was suggested by his agent, Barry Wheeler, and his wife, Alice, in order to help him overcome his block so he can work on his next novel. He is also dependent on pain medication and alcohol, which is another reason for his wife wanting to get him help. She tricks him into going to Bright Falls to meet with a specialist who is known to work with struggling artists. He is upset about this, but continues the vacation regardless. They head into town to get the keys for the place they are staying at, a small island with a cabin on it. They get the key, however, it turns out that the key they got was not the real one. It was given to them by a dark presence that needs Alan to write his story so it can escape Cauldron Lake, a lake which it is trapped under. At the cabin, Alice is taken by the dark presence and Alan tries to rescue her. He is unable and suddenly a week goes by. He has no memory of this week and wakes up after a car crash. He goes through the forest in order to get help and narrates his own journey as if he's in a story. He finds pages of the story and realizes he is living in a story he wrote over the week he can't remember called Departure. He kills a bunch of townspeople who have been taken by the dark presence and finally makes it to a gas station and calls the police. They take him to the station and he tells them he can't find his wife. He doesn't mention killing all the Taken or the week he lost. Emil Hartman appears at the station and tells him that he's welcome at his psychiatric hotel. Then Alan punches him and breaks his nose. This is the person Alice has been talking to in order to get Alan help. Barry calls him and says he's coming to help because he hasn't been able to get a hold of him all week. He receives a call from someone claiming to have his wife. This person says to meet him at the national park with the pages to his story and he will trade them for his wife. Alan agrees, and him and Barry go to meet this man at the national park.
And kill him.
He finds him. Yeah, and kill him. I think kill him was up there for him. I think he would have ripped his guy's arms off.
100%.
He meets him and fights him, but the man runs away. Alan then gets chased by the FBI for some reason. Robert Nightingale. He is chased through the park, but is able to escape. He meets the kidnapper again, whose name is Mott, and watches him get tortured by the darkness that is chasing Alan. Alan then jerks off as he watches him get tortured because he knows he has his wife. That didn't happen, but it should have.
Yeah,
Alan falls into the lake and then awakens in Hartman's psychiatric home and is told he is experiencing episodes of delusion because he is so stressed and drugged up. Alan soon learns that the kidnapper was hired by Hartman to get Alan alone so he could admit him and take credit for eliminating his writer's block. The darkness soon attacks and Alan is forced to flee the hospital. Barry comes to the rescue and helps Alan make his way out. Alan and Barry make their way to a farm to learn more about the darkness. They are led there by an entity that seems to be helping Alan, a man in a diving suit. They make it to the farm after fighting dark forces and learn that there's a Lady of the Light that can help them through a song written... Oh, I just lost my spot. Sorry, guys. I lost my spot.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Song written by local musicians, and that's the... what are they called?
Old Gods of Asgard.
The Old Gods of Asgard. That's the band, and
Yes.
they wrote this song to help them for exposition purposes, I think.
Yes.
They are then captured by Nightingale and arrested. The darkness attacks the police station, and the sheriff helps them escape and gets a helicopter to make it to the power plant to meet this lady and fight more Taken along the way. At the power plant, they meet Cynthia Weaver, who tells them about how a poet, Thomas Zane, a name that you have heard of throughout your journey, released the darkness when he tried to bring back his dead wife, who drowned in the lake. Zane did not know the darkness had taken her form and used Zane in order to escape. Zane stopped the darkness by using his writing to seal it in the lake. He erased himself from existence, except for one shoebox that contained one page and a light switch. The page is about Alan Wake as a child, receiving the switch so he wouldn't be scared of the dark. Alan takes the switch and kills Barbara at the lake and writes an ending to the story and that traps him in the darkness, but saves everybody else.
Holy shit.
He did it!
Yay!
So overall, I did like the story. I honestly did.
I really do enjoy the story.
Yeah,
It's very intriguing, very
There's
fun.
a lot more high points than there are low points in this story
Yes.
for sure, but there's still some stuff that really doesn't make any sense for it to be there. It like almost feels like a bad novel, and maybe that's what they were going for with some of the stuff they introduce.
I mean, because even Stephen King's very hit or miss, so I think they were kind of going for that.
Yeah, like the Agent Nightingale didn't need to be there. That whole point,
No.
I don't understand his point in that at all.
But that was also one of the best, like, linear story
Yeah.
moments where you're
That
forced
one-
to find a page and read a page. Yeah.
That one moment, no, I mean the only moment I liked in there with him was the fact that he's reading what he's doing, and
Oh,
it's just
yeah.
really funny because he's like, and then Agent Nightingale reads the page and
It
realizes
gets deja vu.
He's living in this moment right now. Oh God!
And he's about to be taken by the darkness. He's like, what
But-
the fuck? And
but
then
you
gets
coulda
taken
really-
by the darkness.
Yeah, you could have really done that with any character they introduced. It didn't have to be that
True.
specific one.
Yeah,
Um,
and he did have some of the worst things with, like, the stupid lines of, okay, Stephen King, or Edgar Allan Poe, or
yeah.
F. Scott Fitzgerald, or William Shakespeare, or, like, he said a different writer's name every time he talked
Yeah.
to him, and said, like, 3 or 4 every time they were introduced. He would just go on a rant of names. I was like, what the hell?
His whole storyline made no sense, and the fact
Yeah.
that he was the only FBI agent, and why was he there? But like I said, it felt like a bad book, and maybe that's the point. Maybe they just wanted this bad character to be in there just to die.
You always have to have
Um,
an out-of-towner that's unexplained.
Yeah, but that's what Alan Wake is, the out-of-towner.
Yes, but he's the main character, so he doesn't count as the out-of-towner. You have to have
Ah.
a separate out-of-towner.
So Nightingale's character just felt a little bit like, yeah, why are you fucking here?
Yeah.
There one part in the story that made me laugh a lot that I just really enjoyed because it was funny. So while you're at the national park to meet Mott to give him the pages for your wife, the darkness attacks and like destroys the building that the national park is main headquartered at.
Yeah.
And there's a guy in there named Rusty, and Rusty's like a park ranger. And you met him earlier, and he was healing a dog because he's a hero.
Mhm.
And he, which is weird because you also let the dog out of a cage and you never see it again. So I'm worried about the dog
Yeah.
now. But besides that, he's dying in front of you,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Please help!" And Alan goes, "I'll go get help. Don't you worry." And if you just search around that area a little bit, you see a med kit in the kitchen that's about 10 feet off from Rusty, and you do not attempt to grab it.
Hey man, some alcohol swabs and some little tiny band-aids are not going to help that wound in his
Well,
stomach.
it's a med kit. It's got gauze in it. It's got some disinfectant wipes. It's got stuff that might help. That's better than just leaving him on the ground bleeding and dying because you don't actually go to get help.
He's a writer, not a doctor.
Yeah,
he
you're
doesn't
right.
know any of that.
You're right. It's just funny because it's like, why am I not trying to... Okay, apparently fuck you. See ya.
As I kind of alluded to earlier, I really love the dialogue of him and Barry's banter back and forth, especially like when they're drunk together. I love
Yeah.
there's a moment where he's like, I could write like 10 best-selling novels like this year. And Barry's like, no, there's no way you could do that. And he's like, but I'm a writer, so I could.
And you're like, this is the worst drunk scene I've ever seen in my life. You guys aren't even acting drunk. You're like,
It's bad, but it's like good at the same time. It's like
Yeah.
a good level of bad.
yeah, it's funny, but it doesn't seem like they're super drunk. But that's right before you get arrested by Nightingale at the
Yeah.
farm, right after you learn about the Lady of the Lake or whatever. Lady of the Light.
Best scene of this is by far going to the old gods of Asgard's farm.
Oh, for sure. You do an entire fight on a fucking stage here where they built like a rock and roll stage on their farm, and then if you go
Yes.
in their house, they also built a stage in their house. And I'm like, this is the coolest fucking farm ever.
Well, and that stage is so fucking awesome. They have like
Yeah.
a whole Viking ship in their like
Yep.
barn,
Yep, and they
Like,
had
oh my
pyrotechnics
God.
for it. Like, they were fucking insane.
and using those pyrotechnics and fireworks and shit to fight off the, the darkness. So cool. So cool.
Yeah. That's one of my comments in my notes is Anderson Brothers had the coolest home.
Seriously.
They trying to remember. There was one thing that I didn't write in here that I wanted to get to, but that's okay. We'll just go off what I wrote. There's gates in this game that kind of block your path that are controlled by the darkness. So they're like not real gates. They're darkness gates, which was interesting.
Yeah.
And the only purpose of these gates, for the most part, a couple of them, and I mean only a couple, had it to where something was chasing you and had to get through the gate super fast, so you had to shine your light on it to like get rid of it. But for the most part, they were just there to be a little bit annoying.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was kind of worthless. You might as well just have it be a locked gate, not a darkness gate. I don't know, it just didn't feel like the story was progressed any with there being a darkness gate there. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but
some of the puzzle elements were so lackluster. Like, I hated, like, in the moments where it's like, move this light post and swing it so it hits this so it blows up some rocks next to you. It's like that.
Yeah. I don't
nothing.
think every game needs a puzzle. Like,
True.
you can just take that puzzle out, and this game still hits where it's supposed to hit.
Yeah, and it's a maybe an hour shorter, and it's a lot better paced.
Without, like, the 5 puzzles they just had to put in there.
Yes.
So, yeah, I would have definitely maybe just taken out a few of those puzzles. If you wanted to keep one, maybe keep one in. The one that I don't even understand if it was a puzzle or not, the power plant one.
Oh yeah.
When you're at the power plant, you're just kind of walking through.
A little puzzle.
But it didn't feel
things.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a puzzle. Like
it was way easy.
Yeah, it felt like I was just moving along a normal story path. So I'm just like, okay, well, this is whatever. So it just feels like the puzzles were worthless. They didn't serve a purpose in here, and they should have just not done them.
Yeah. Agreed. I gotta say the DLC was really, really fucking cool. I really enjoyed the DLC stories, and they gave a lot of like window to what could be. Like, I really am. I'm really wondering if Alan Wake and Thomas Zane are the same person. Like, there's small talks of them might be the same person.
So this is where we disagree a little bit, because I don't think they're the same person whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
After playing the game, you kind of get this feeling that Thomas Zane may or may not be Alan Wake's dad. And the only reason... So you find this page that kind of talks about Alan Wake's childhood. So and this is before Alan Wake was born, because this would have been in the 70s, and Alan Wake... Well, no, Alan Wake would have... who knows? I don't know how old Alan Wake is. Doesn't really matter. But this is probably before he's born when he wrote this, or just after he's born as like a small child. So it's before this like 7-year-old Alan Wake would have taken place. Mm-hmm. And he has a story of him, and it means one of two things to me. He either willed Alan Wake into...
existence.
And had him be the hero that could defeat all these people, so that's his hero in his story. Or he's Alan Wake's father. He knew Alan Wake was a person, and he knew that person would grow up to be a writer somehow. And he said, you know what? I'm going to make him the hero because he's my son. Like, those are my two options. I get the third thing of maybe he could be Thomas Zane, but the timelines don't really match because people met Thomas Zane, and that doesn't look like Thomas Zane. And like, he's willed out of existence, but you don't really know what that means because one person can somehow remember him perfectly.
Yeah, well, it just seems weird. And like, there's a part in the DLC where he even says like, how would you even have known these things? And he even says like, maybe... Like, because he says, like, is this different writers coming every, like, 20 years or so that are all falling victim to the same thing, that they keep pulling in writers, or is this the same thing repeating over again with the same writer? And
what's stupid is there's this whole part where Alan and Zane had that conversation, like, how'd you know about me as a kid? How'd you do that? And then they just drop it almost immediately. I'm like, fuck you guys.
Well, and so I did a little bit of research digging into this a little bit, because I remember in Control, they have the DLC for the Alan Wake experience, and in that game, Alan Wake meets Thomas Zane, and Thomas Zane isn't in the diver suit, and he looks like Alan Wake.
Interesting.
And then apparently in the second one, Thomas Zane is a character that's very important, and I think he's either going against him or whatever. But like, in the Control DLC, it showed them arguing, and it showed Alan saying that he needs to keep going. He needs to go against the other bad version of himself, Dr. Scratch or whatever, or Mr. Scratch.
Mr. Scratch.
But then Thomas Zane's like, don't worry about him, don't worry about him, don't worry about him, don't worry about him. And then he kind of keeps on being weird. And so it's like, is Thomas Zane Mr. Scratch?
He could be.
And is he just another version of Alan Wake? Because even in the DLC, he's arguing with himself about whether...
So,
He
and what it could be
is-
too, to be
Yeah.
honest, like this version of Zane could be like the original Zane could have existed, could have been his dad, or could have willed him into existence and then died. Because that makes more sense than him just being trapped in the darkness for
True.
40, 30 years, whatever it is at this point. And if he
Well-
died, then maybe Mr. Scratch, when Alan Wake comes to the island, that's the only time Thomas Zane truly comes out.
True.
So when Alan Wake comes, maybe a direct copy is made from him during that week, and he becomes Thomas Zane.
Maybe. I know one of the theories is that they actually said that throughout this, you find out that nothing can actually be willed into existence. Everything was already pre-existing in the world and just manipulated. So if anything, Thomas Zane might have known the Wake family and willed them or pushed them to give birth to Alan, but Alan was already a preconceived thing that was going to happen anyways, but he
or a
just pushed
grandson.
Yeah.
A grandson would make a lot of sense because they talk about Zane, but they don't really talk about how old he was. But you see
Yeah.
Barbara, and
Yeah.
Barbara does look very fucking old.
Yes, she does.
So he could be like his grandpa or something.
True.
So yeah, there's a lot in there. There's
I
a lot of
don't know.
speculation of who Thomas Zane could be, and I bet if we played number 2, we'd get that like
Well, and
out in the
apparently
open.
there's a whole other game too. It's Alan Wake American Nightmare. It's like a little
Oh,
$10 like individual game separate from the story as well. So that happens before Alan Wake 2, and I'm like, wait, what?
No. Yeah, we'll have to check out those games at some point, just see what it
Yeah.
is. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much story. I don't have anything else to talk about unless you do.
No, I think that's pretty much everything.
All right, well, let's go.
Worth or not?
All right, what are you valuing on this one?
So I'm going to go with worth on this game just because it was fun. You do get
yeah.
kind of bored playing it. I will say that. You might want to take some breaks in between and just play something
True.
else because honestly, this game does get a little boring.
Mhm.
The story's kind of lackluster in certain parts, but really, like, in the high points, it's really good. So it's just... I bet the second one's amazing. Like, I think
Oh,
get
yeah.
through this one just to play the second one. I haven't even played the second one, but I can already tell you I think that one's going to be phenomenal.
Well, I mean, it was up for Game of the Year, so
Yeah,
obviously
so
there's
there's got to be
something
some
right.
good thing about it. So I think they learned their lessons from this one and fix it all in the second one.
Which I've heard from everybody that Alan Wake 2 is Remedy's best game they've ever made. Which,
Nice.
I mean, this one I thoroughly enjoyed enough to keep going with just the story alone.
Yeah.
The gameplay was a little lackluster. There was some bad pacing things, but the story was so good for me that I didn't care and I moved on past that. So I'm definitely intrigued to keep going with this franchise. I think it's definitely worth your time and your money, and as long as you can get past some shitty game mechanics, because I know that can be a thing that screws up video games. There's certain games I won't play just because of the mechanics. I mean, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are
Yeah.
ones that come to mind. I cannot get past the weapon degradation system, but
Even though they're good, I mean, there's
Yeah,
certain things
they're
as a
incredible
person,
games.
we all like certain things better than other things, so...
as much as I love From Software games and Souls-like games, I will never fucking be able to beat Sekiro because it forces you to parry.
Alright, well, fair. Alright, well, that was Alan. Wait, did you give it a worth?
I did give it a worth, yes,
Okay,
yes, yes, yes.
just making sure. I can't remember if you said worth or not.
I did, but
Okay. Well,
100%.
thanks for listening, guys. That was this week's game.
Yes.
Next week's game's going to be
Rollerdrome.
Rollerdrome, a mix between Tony Hawk and Mad Max? No, Max
Max
Payne.
Payne.
Mad
Tony
Max.
Hawk and Max Payne.
Mad Max.
It is on Game Pass if you are wanting to play along with us, and go ahead and play it with us. It's also on Steam or PS4 or PS5, I believe. So,
Yep. Alright, guys. Well, we'll catch you next week.
bye.
Bye.
Love you.